Anne-Marie, thinking about entrepreneurs setting up new companies, what are the different elements of law that need to be considered when you're going out to set up a new company for the first time?
Well, you'll see on the web there's loads of companies out there offering to set up a company for you for £150, very cheap. It sounds like that's all you need to do. But be aware that when you set up a company, you will have responsibilities to file documents with Companies House. Directors will have responsibilities as officers of the company. There was a new Companies Act which has been coming into force over the last year or so, which has all sorts of provisions which you need to know about. So go and get the advice to make sure you aren't falling foul of the legislation. For example, if you don't file returns in time, your company can be struck off. So it's really important to make sure you know what you're doing. Also, in relation to employees, if you're going to employ people to work for your company, make sure you know the employment rights you're giving them to make sure you're not going to be taken before a tribunal. So go and see somebody, get the advice and know where you're coming from. Make sure you go and see someone who knows what they're talking about and can give you the reassurance that what you're doing will work. When setting up a business, you've got to think very carefully about insurance as well. Not just the product liability insurance, but things like public liability insurance. If people are coming to see you, you've got to have cover for their protection. Also employee insurance. And you might want to think about critical cover insurance, all those sorts of areas that could protect you if there's a problem later on.
Having considered those the legal sides, how should entrepreneurs actually plan for starting that business?
Well, go and see somebody like Business Link. It's free, it's local. Again, you can go online, you can phone them up, you can get lots of information from being referred to local individuals who can give you specialist advice, to actually going to seminars and workshops to actually find out about VAT, about tax, about employees, about patenting, all sorts of areas. It's really important to do that, and it's out there and it's available. Preparing a business plan, the first thing, if you go and see a bank manager about setting up a loan or a new company business, they'll want a business plan. So make sure you've got one, and when you've prepared it, you might not necessarily want to give your ideas away to friends and family, but tell them the business plan so it makes sense and it's tried and tested before you actually go to the experts that you want to get and help. And also have some ideas about what happens when things go wrong. Everybody who starts a new project is so excited about taking their product forward, they don't actually plan for the potential pitfalls. So make sure you've got some sort of leeway. And if you've got a budget, make sure you do build in a percentage in case things and costs overrun. Because if anybody's built an extension, they will know that the chance of a builder delivering for the contract price you gave is very slim. So do the same with your new project. Treat it as something which needs to have potential problems covered.
How should entrepreneurs thinking further forward then plan to engage with customers and with suppliers?
Well, it's important to have knowledge. Knowledge of your product is so important. When you come up with an idea, you might just start off with a drawing, but once the design's underway, know how it works, know who it's going to appeal to, so know your product, know your market, know your competitors, know who you're working with. If you're going to be working with another company, don't do it all by phone. Go and talk, go and see them, go and talk to them, get a feel for the people you're working with. It's really important to do that. And have a clear view of what you want to achieve. If you've got your business plan in place, you know where you want to be in 6 months, in a year's time. Don't think you're going to be a millionaire overnight. You know, these ideas that somebody comes up with an idea and a year later they're just sitting back in the south of France somewhere. It's going to be hard work and it might be a lot longer than you think to get there. So be realistic, but know what you're doing. Don't think you can just devote 1% of your time. You need to actually be promoting the majority of your time to going ahead. It's also really important to know who you're working with. If someone comes to you and says they've got all this money that they can throw at you to promote your product, you'll probably be so glad to have them, you'll just take it at face value. But know that person has got the money, because otherwise they might be getting you to commit to something that you can't afford. Also, it's important to think about the questions you're going to be asked with your product, so you can research the questions and know the answers, because your customers and your suppliers are going to ask you those questions, so preempt it by knowing the answers beforehand.
Anne-Marie, how should contracts be handled when setting up with suppliers and customers in a new business environment?
Well, don't be frightened of them. Often people look at a contract, just see lots of words they don't understand, think, oh, it probably makes sense, and sign it. Be wary. Make sure you read everything. These days contracts are less legalistic and a little bit more word-friendly than they used to be. So read it carefully, and if there's something you don't understand, ask for advice on it. If you have signed something and you have a problem, it might be worth going back to the person you signed it with and trying to vary it. Don't always think you're not going to have power to deal with it. Look at the timescales involved. Can you actually deliver what they want you to deliver, and are you asking for too much on the other side? So be realistic about your goals and make sure that anything you want included is included, because if you try and include it later, it might just cause a few more delays.
Anne-Marie, stepping back a little bit from the law, having worked with so many different clients in so many different businesses over the years in different sectors, if you were setting up a business yourself, what things would you have learned that you would take forward to your own business?
Be sensible and take your time. Don't commit to orders too early. If you get very excited about a product, you want to get out there and sell it, but don't start going and showing people things until you know you can deliver. Also, don't think it means you've got to go and rent some flash offices, have your stationery printed, the whole bit. Start small and build. Otherwise, you can find yourself with far more debts than you have actually money coming in. So temper it, be sensible, and take your time.